everyone in here gets a raise because they were here early.
I get double raise.
And Nathan gets triple raise.
Oh.
That sound like a plan for you, Sean? Yeah, I'm down.
Everybody about ready? How many people here are going to have submitted the open records or going to submit the open records?
I will.
Okay. All right. 3, 4. Okay.
give everybody time to set up, so take your time. Very well, sir. How are you? Good to see you as well.
Glad to hear about our friend.
Oh, yes, I am. I'm super excited about that.
I heard there was a video he's sending around. I told him I was at lunch. So
Yeah.
I don't need that right now.
Yeah, no, it's, I'm glad he's okay.
Yeah, I know.
I'll give you all a brief, time to set up, so you don't got to rush. Good? We good? Everybody good? Okay. So we're going to start today. Obviously, this is subsequent to District Attorney Vicky Behenna releasing that decline to file charges. We will talk and walk through the timeline, as I said we would do once that process would come to an end. And so that's what we're doing here today, honoring, my word and our obligations. So this is for the event of Ryan Walters and the images that were seen on his TV. So on July 25th, I was contacted by OMES, Director of OMES, Rick Rose, that afternoon, and I was asked to investigate the situation that involved Ryan Walters and the inappropriate material that was viewed on his television. That Friday, I explained to him, hey, this is going to be above board. This will not be something where you contact me over the phone. Yes, we will do it, but I'd like formal requests via email so that that message is captured and we can share that with our public should they ask. And that request was granted, but also on that day, I wanted to gather information on how did we come about getting this investigation, obviously with this dealing with the state and OSBI being, there and being the investigatory agency over that. So I reached out to Mashburn, director of OSBI, and I asked him to walk me through how this fell into our jurisdiction. And how he explained it to me is that since the legislative body is out right now, that means it falls onto the county to investigate this situation that occurred. And also, when I had my conversation with him, I said, hey, should I need your assistance? Should I need OSBI's assistance? Would y'all be okay with helping us out? And he's a longtime friend, and he certainly extended, his agency's help should we need that at all. So on July 28th, we were formally requested to investigate the possibility of inappropriate material being on Superintendent Ryan Walters' issued television. The allegations were that inappropriate images were displayed on his television during a board meeting. So with that being said, on July 28th, our investigators showed up. They walked through the room, and it's important that we pay attention to the details here. So on that day, the investigators turned on the TV, and already up was Samsung Movie Hub Action. That was the channel that the TV was already on when they turned it on. So on July 29th, we interviewed Superintendent Ryan Walters. During this interview, Walters stated that typically when he comes in, the television is on Fox News, denying that there was anything inappropriate on his screen, so saying that there was nothing inappropriate that was on his television. At that time, after that, we reached out to Samsung first to confirm what was actually playing. So During that, we're talking about programming. What's the list of titles of shows, of movies that are potentially playing at this time? Because our investigators, extremely squared away, very good group. With seeing what the TV station was on, when they turned it on, they wanted to dial back and see what all titles played so that they can start working backwards and see if anything fit. And that's what took place. And it was at that time that we reached out to Samsung once to confirm what was actually on the screen. They hadn't got back in contact with us at that particular day, but we interviewed Ms. Carson about what she observed also on July 29th. And she stated there were inappropriate images showing full frontal nudity that she observed and that it offended her. On July 30th, we interviewed Ryan Dethridge about what he observed. He also observed full frontal nudity. Both of them said it looked like the image was from the 70s. At that point in time, on July 30th, we reached out to OSBI for assistance with possible forensic exams. On July 31st, we interviewed all the parties that were in the room. So everybody who was in the room that had access to seeing the TV, we interviewed them as well. Based on the TV's location in the room, the way it was situated, these people said that they did not see anything just based on the position of the TV. So their comments, they're part of the investigation. We took their statement, but we wanted to make sure that we address this, like I said, appropriately, a full, thorough interview or investigation where everyone is interviewed. We take statements from everyone. And these individuals, like I said, expressed that they didn't see anything because of the position of the TV. On August 5th, Dethridge and Carson were interviewed a second time. Now, this was due to the information being released outside of our office. And when information that doesn't come from us gets out, now we are having to, I guess, expeditiously get ahead of things. And so we wanted to get in front of both Dethridge and Carson to prevent or to protect the integrity of the investigation, because you don't want them to potentially see images that could taint what they saw, or that would go in and taint what, what they would say during an interview. So we wanted to get in front of them and show them the images that our investigators had already come across. So our investigators already came across a movie that fit all of the variables and things that they, provided to our investigators through the investigation, through the process of their interview. And like I said, they were going over it. So what they did in that particular meeting, they had still shots, still photos from this movie, and they showed it to them. They said, hey, is this what you saw? And they said that the images that were shown to them by our investigators were consistent with what they saw on Ryan Walters' TV that day. OSBI reached out for a second time to Samsung to obtain programming information. Now, this is what I told the media when we were talking to them throughout this process. It is important that you get hard, concrete evidence, things in black and white, because this isn't going to be litigated in the court of public opinion. This is going to be defended and have to be, prosecuted potentially in the court, a courtroom, a court of law. And so we need to make sure that our investigation can stand up to the scrutiny that it will face in that particular situation. So that's why they're extremely thorough. They want to make sure they get everything from Samsung, everything from any organization, any agency, anybody involved in this investigation. Make sure we copy, get all of that information down so that, like I said, a thorough investigation in the end product is what you see, something that we can certainly be proud of and one that could not be refuted. And so that's what they did when we reached out the second time. And so on August 7th, we received confirmation of the movie being played by Samsung. Now, on July 24th, on that July 24th meeting, so on August 7th, Samsung sent us confirmation that that was the movie being played, the images that we showed both Dethridge and Carson were from that movie. And that movie is Jackie Chan, The Protector. Let y'all get a chance to get that down. Once again, that is Jackie Chan, The Protector. On August 15th, we submitted what we call staffed our case. We submitted and put this in front of the district attorney's office, and then it was left in their hands. Everything that we compiled, all of the information, all of our communication between us and OSBI, our communication between us and Samsung, everything that took place was gathered, collected, compiled, turned over to the DA's office, and they took responsibility of this information and looked at it going forward to determine what their office wanted to do. So with that, that is the timeline. If anyone would like me to repeat any specific dates or anything else that I have, I certainly will do that. And now I will open and entertain questions.
My understanding is that there was some discussion of potentially getting a subpoena for all of these devices, his computer, his state-issued cell phone, stuff like that. Did that occur? Was there a request made in that regard? What can you tell us about that?
So I believe a request was made for that information. We heard nothing back. Is that correct? Yes. They provided their own download, but they did not respond to our request. So there you go.
Okay, and of the phone, of a laptop,
Of any state devices.
so they provided a forensic download of his state-issued cell phone, his state-issued laptop or desktop? Which one? Both? And anything else I'm missing? An iPad? Was that reviewed by investigators? Was there any finding of anything inappropriate? And I'm sorry, could I get your name? Mr. Harmon or Peter? Investigator Harmon. Yes, thank you.
And just to clarify, you worked with the OSBI on this investigation?
Yes, sir. Yes, it was. Like I said, I have a long history, certainly professionally, with Director Mashburn, and he extended that opportunity to us the moment I called him, and we're grateful for OSBI's assistance in this matter. They're great partners. They're great to work with, and once again, we are grateful for their partnership in this endeavor.
How would you describe Superintendent Walters' level of cooperation with this investigation?
When we requested him to come in and speak, he came in and, and spoke to us. Like I said, the initial day, let me get that date for you, on the 28th, just the immediate walkthrough to see obviously allowed us the opportunity to go into his office and check. So, I would say he was extremely compliant throughout the entire investigation.
The process of sending information to the district attorney's office, is that standard for every single criminal investigation that the sheriff's office opens, regardless of the outcome, regardless of if you believe that there is, that a state statute has been violated, or does your office make any interpretation at all of if there is or could be any violation of state statute before making that decision to send stuff to the DA's office?
That's a great question. We are fact finders. We look at everything. We do thorough investigations. We collect all of the information, and then we submit it to the DA's office, and then that is their job. And so, like I said, we are fact finders, and our investigators are extremely good at doing that. And like I told our public when we came out with this, we are going to produce an investigation that cannot be refuted. Our guys are among the best, and extremely proud with how they navigated this. Certainly with all of the outside, interruptions, to be able to stay level-headed, conduct business, stay the course professionally, and with everything that they had to kind of go up against and navigate. You're extremely proud of how they handle themselves and conduct a business.
And so just to clarify, even if your office had found evidence that there was a news channel that was playing on the TV, as Superintendent Walters suggested, you still would have sent on all of
Yes.
that information?
Yes, that is how we handle these investigations. That's how we handle any investigation. We find facts and submit it to the district attorney's office.
Did the district attorney just receive the report, or did they also receive the downloaded forensic review?
Yes. So when we staff cases with the DA, they get the entire case packet. It has everything in there, from interviews, what people said, our findings, what we were able to locate. Obviously, when we talk about Samsung, their confirmation, the pictures that we showed to both Deathridge and Carson, that they said were consistent. Everything goes into that and is then staffed with the DA for them to review all the materials. And then even in some cases, I would say, should the DA say, hey, we have a request for more information, they have the ability to do that. They can say, hey, can you look into this a little bit further? And we certainly will. That was not the case in this matter. And so yeah.
Was this case handled differently or more swiftly, given that Walters is a political figure versus maybe someone like a teacher?
Oh, sir, no. We're going to be thorough. We are going to do everything within our power to ensure that no stone is unturned. And it's what I said, and I've certainly said it publicly, that we are going to run a thorough investigation, and time is not a factor. My investigators have full autonomy, and I want to make sure that we aren't going to fall victim to political persuasion or political pressure. I don't care who you are. I don't care what office you serve in. I don't care what community you live in, your zip code. We are going to do a good job regardless of who's involved.
So August 5th was the House Speaker's investigation. Do you think that was too early? It seems to him that he was taking too long to do some academics on here?
No. So when you talk about the Speaker of the House, and I've had conversations with him, came out prematurely in any information that is found. Certainly when you look at what, the timeline here, we were already looking and in conversations with Samsung. I think his heart was in the right place. I think when you look at the position he's put in, the people who are potentially coming to him asking for answers, asking for information, he's certainly looking to protect his institution. He just wanted to bring it to a close as well. Not the appropriate way to go, but his heart was in the right place. And so with that, I offer grace. You just saw a guy trying to solve a problem. And, we've talked through it, and he's a good man. And once again, his heart was in the right place. And I will say, this is the first of its kind. This is the first time we have seen a situation like this that involves the state where the county is investigating simply because of timing. And so there was a lot of things we have to work through, and we call it debriefings, and I certainly plan on going to our state leaders and stuff like that and talk about, if this happens again, here's the course of action, here's how we're going to navigate, pushing out information, because you got to learn somehow, and that's okay. And with this being the first, I think it's acceptable to learn and do better the next time.
Do you believe the OSBI should have the authority to initiate its own investigation? And if they could,
Yes. When it involves the state, certainly. I think they should have the ability, and I think everything is truly based in statute, so everybody's just following the rules, and I think that's appropriate, certainly, for this profession, is to follow the rules. And so everybody just wants to make sure things are handled appropriately, and OSBI was with us the whole way.
Sheriff, not to dumb this down.
No, you're good.
Just to make sure I'm clear, so the television was defaulting to this movie hub,
Mhm.
and then this movie that had some full frontal nudity
Yes,
was
sir.
playing.
Yes,
and
sir.
So the reports from the two board members were verified after looking at these images, and it appears, based on your investigation, Ryan Walters had no idea that those images were
No. These, this movie, and once again, when we talk about looking at the programming, you have to look at, okay, what is the time? 'Cause
Right.
these guys went through a lot when we talk about what is the time from their regularly scheduled meeting to when they recessed into executive session, where everybody entered the room and what time they entered the room, that, and what point in the movie this could have potentially been shown. And so when you talk about just, an accident, or just, it's just an accident. But with that being said, they did see, what they came out and talked about. They did see those images, but it was no fault of anyone, and personally, what I feel, no malicious intent involved, just an accident.
So with that being said, are there actions being taken to try to prevent this from happening again? Are channels, programs, or apps going to be stripped off of this smart TV so it kind of prevents this from accidentally happening again?
You know, I'm unable to say. You know, when you turn on TV, I certainly have a smart TV at home. They all pop up with their own channel list and things of that nature. When I say it's purely an accident, it is truly purely an accident. Yeah, I mean, I just think I don't know how you tell Samsung that they can't have their own channel list or have that taken off. I don't think that's a possibility, but I don't know.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. You mentioned that Speaker Hilbert maybe jumped the gun a little bit by putting out that press release. And you know, you said that the board members did see what they saw, and that appeared to be the case. Superintendent Walters indicated he thought they were lying. He thought that there was a conspiracy. Maybe suggested that they had gone and planted it or something. And then I think he also said that your investigation was concluded before it was.
Yes, sir.
And I didn't know if you could speak to, was that also a frustrating thing to hear on a TV interview?
Yes, it's certainly frustrating because, you know, one, like I said, we had just started our investigation, and how dare anybody try to ruin the credibility of this agency and the professionalism that we bring to this office and to this community every day to suggest that we would run a 24-hour investigation and clearing one. That is not the case. So yes, you're right. He did come out prematurely and said that we cleared him, but I think I came out publicly right after that and told our citizens, told our community that that is not the case. We did not clear him, that investigation was still ongoing. When it pertains to Speaker of the House Hilbert, once again, I do think it was put out prematurely. I truly think, he should have operated through the channels because we were the investigating agency, and if anyone had any information or anything that they could have done to provide to the case, I truly believe it should have come through us. But I still say I extend him a level of grace because I understand the situation he was put up against. I understand that he was just trying to solve a problem. He was just trying to bring a resolution to the situation and, like I said, protect the institution.
Do you think Mr. Walters was confused, or do you think he was deliberately attempting to claim it was concluded when he knew it was not?
I can't speak to what he thought. I can only speak to what I said and what I told everyone, and it was still an ongoing investigation at the time that he gave that statement.
Superintendent also suggested that Governor Stitt was involved in this grand conspiracy, so to speak. Did you find any evidence at all that that would have been the case?
No, sir. The quarrel between everybody involved really isn't my business. What we were charged to do was find the facts, what happened, and I think our guys did an amazing job of doing that, and that is reflected here. Everything else is certainly something that they are going to have to handle amongst them.
So, not to
No,
oversimplify
go ahead.
things, is it fair to say with certainty that your investigators concluded that the protector was playing on that media?
Yes, sir. Jackie Chan, the Protector. It's important that we add that because there are a lot of movies out there with the title Protector. So it is important to use Jackie Chan, the Protector. Yes.
One more question. Who's got yes?
Anything else?
One of the most bizarre things you've ever had to deal with?
It's fun. It's a learning experience. I mean, I love this community. I love to serve. It's a pleasure to serve Oklahoma County and the state of Oklahoma. And I truly think it's awesome for our agency to be able to put that on display for the entire state to see. When you talk about an institution like the state to come to us and say, it's your job to perform this investigation, and then our guys not only rise to the level, but they blow it out the water and exceed all expectations. I mean, that's what we do it for. Restoring the respect of the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office, not only to our community, but to the state as a whole. And we got the opportunity to do that, and I'm grateful for that. Everybody good?
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, guys.